regards to CMP 5.5 and 5.6, the public petition here, I have some questions in regards to that. You know, when I looked at the backup in the response, thank you for that. But I have a couple questions, and I don't know who's going to answer.
You can ask the questions. Go ahead.
All right. So I guess through the chair to administration, I'm sorry. In regards to, the question was, collect or retain biometric identifiers such as audio recordings, photography, or video, and the use of student data to train or develop artificial intelligence systems. In regards to that, at this time, is the district using any apps or technology or anything in the classroom that collects or retains biometric identifiers such as those things? Through the chair.
Through the chair. So I'm going to ask Dr. Kariasis and Dr. Andre to come up. I assume there's going to be follow-up questions anyways. So we'll start with, to the extent of what we know is being used in classrooms today, we don't believe there's any biometric data being collected for authentication purposes to log on to an app or so forth.
Okay.
But let me just defer to Dr. Kariasis or Dr. Andre for any clarification.
Dr.
Through the chair. Thank you for that question. So I just want to reiterate the question. Are we using any apps or anything that collect biometric data?
Currently at this time.
Currently? Okay. So I just want to start off first by saying we recognize the changing technology and how rapidly it's coming into schools, and we're working very hard to stay ahead of all of this, and we also echo all the parent and school committee concerns around student data privacy. So without getting too nuanced or specific, there's different levels of biometric data. So we don't use anything to authenticate, which means like having a student open a Chromebook and then it recognizes their face and then they log in. However, we do have apps where kids can record their voice, their video, take pictures, and that data is protected and de-identified in our apps. So as we've been working with different districts across the state, we've been talking about biometric data, and we're going to start to dig into some of those higher levels that parents are concerned with, and we're going to work with the Future Technology Committee to really get into the details of the concerns and where we can kind of put some additional protections in for our community.
And through the chair to administration, in regards to that data, and when you kind of talk about that, after that, how is it scrubbed or detect? Like, what's the next step from the district on how we deal with that? Through the chair.
So with products that we use, that we have student data privacy agreements with, typically if we're still using that product, the product itself, that platform is storing the data. It's protected by the agreements that we have in place, and those agreements basically outline all the legal responsibilities on our end and on the company's end as well, and they have to abide by that. It's also beneficial to keep the data in a lot of these platforms because for historical data purposes, if we're trying to support student learning over time, there are moments where having that information would be helpful for making decisions. We also need to have it stored so that if there's a request about the education record itself, we need to be able to go back and pick up that information. So if there's a parent request to see the education record for their child. But that being said, if we terminate an agreement contract with a vendor who's providing an app or a third-party service, they are required to delete/destroy that data. We can also request that they delete data at any point, and they have to comply within 60 days. So there are instances where we could do that as well.
Okay. And so Through the chair to administration, so what you're saying is, before you even entertain an app or whatever, there's certain legal things. Can you kind of go through that, and who actually does that for the district? Who's responsible for ensuring that these certain things are followed? Through the chair.
Through the chair, we'll kind of tag team on this one, but requests can come in from different places, but we have a platform now where there's supposed to be, if it's coming from, say, a school somewhere else, it'll come through one of our platforms called Incident IQ. We'll take that information, we'll take a look, and we'll start vetting it. Some of that work happens in Dr. Kariasis's office, just doing some of that initial checking to vet the product and get a little bit more information about it, short version. And then we'll also check to make sure that there's an agreement in place. We're part of a consortium. I believe we're up to like 16 states nationally. And they, everything that is required under FERPA and COPA, which are 2 federal laws, and then Massachusetts state law, these things are all outlined with these agreements to make sure that the companies are doing what they need to do to maintain the data, protect the data, and just in general handle it in a way that is in compliance with the law. So as long as the company has an agreement, we can sign on, if everything checks out. If they don't, we'll engage with the Education Collaborative. They've got their legal team, which will work to see if the vendor will, do the work that's necessary to say that they'll comply with all the data privacy laws. So typically things come that way, but then there's other situations where things might come in through products that we're looking to purchase as a district. And so through the procurement process, we're looking to work with the company. We will take a look to make sure that the way in which they handle student data is in line with the law and the ways that they should be conducting their business.
Yeah, I can add through the chair. Not one tool or app is decided by one individual alone. Usually there's a committee that looks at a product, and it goes through, the Office of Innovation, the curriculum office, if it has to do with curriculum, and so it's vetted through all those places. And if it's a teacher requesting a tool, like say, for example, a teacher wants to use a certain math tool, we'll look at it, we'll check the student data privacy, we'll ask the teacher, why are you using this? When we have like a few, we'll go to the math specialist and ask her. So we go through a series of things to approve tools. That being said, through the Future Ready Technology Committee, where we've talked a lot about, parental concerns, we have a lot of parents on that committee, and so what we are going to start working on is something called like an app ecosystem. So we're going to start with early elementary, K-2, and start to look at all of the apps that we have student data privacy agreements for, so legally we can use them, but also the list, we've had a lot of parent feedback. The list is very big and hard to read, and a lot of those were, we had a lot of technology of the pandemic, and now we need to go back and revisit, and we've gone back and revisited the tools that we've purchased and really streamlined those, but we haven't gone back to look at the tools that teachers have requested. So we're going to go back and look at those, and we're going to come up with a smaller, more digestible amount of apps that are vetted. We're going to pilot a new rubric to vet those so that it can go through a more rigorous process. And then we're going to add in some of the new things coming. Is AI used? How is it used? Is biometric data used? How is it used? And so we're going to have a more rigorous process, but we're going to start, and I listened to your the last school committee meeting. We're working with teachers in each quadrant to be able to do that. So it will come right from the teachers, and we'll have some consensus from the teachers. So that's one of the action steps that we're working on from the work and from all of the parent concerns that we've heard.
Thank you. And in regards to the use of student data to train or develop artificial intelligence systems, through the chair to administration, are we currently using any apps or doing any of that within the district at this time?
Through the chair, not. Okay, through the chair. Not to our knowledge, there's any product doing that. Actually, it's it's illegal for a company to be using personally identifiable information to train, develop, or enhance their products for like commercial purposes or for any purpose. It's permissible under FERPA if data is de-identified, that in those situations, there are conditions under which companies can use that information. It's de-identified at that point. In terms of the training the artificial model, like that's just not something that's even allowed legally for companies to do, not in an education setting. They can't use it for any kind of commercial purpose. When we're working with these products, they have to be able to use it just for educational purposes. And then only working with de-identified data if it's things to like enhance the product.
Okay, thank
I
you.
just,
And through the chair to administration, in regards to that, moving forward, as Superintendent Allen said before, can you please reiterate kind of what the district's plan is in regards to if we were to look at something like that in regards to potentially increasing some type of consent or whatever when it comes to certain apps or whatever that we decide to use in the future, through the chair to administration.
Superintendent Allen?
Through the chair, yeah. So we have the Future Technology Committee where the next meeting is going to be on March 13th. And the topic for this was on artificial intelligence, but we're going to add the biometric data conversation to that so we can understand the different levels of parent concerns around different types of biometric data, because through all of our research, it's anywhere from a biometric identifier, which could just be a photograph of a student, up to scanning brain waves, I just found out yesterday. So there's all certain types, and so we're going to be taking some state laws that we found. There's a couple states that have laws around it, and taking that to that group and discuss it, and we'll talk about really the next steps with that committee.
Thank you. Through the chair or to the chair, I would just like to make a motion in regards to that technology committee that you guys are working on, that we get a report back on where you're at with that in the future. I don't know what that looks like with you, because I don't know how often you're meeting, but once you're ready to come and give the committee an update on kind of where we're at with that and kind of where we're moving, that would be great. That would be my motion. Thank you.